Today we invite you to witness a dialectic between two of the great rhetoricians of the ancient times. Our first participant is Sophocles, an acclaimed Greek dramatist, the writer of such plays as Oedipus Rex and Antigone, and a very good boy. The other participant is Cornelius Tacitus, a Roman senator and historian. Pay no attention to the fact that the two live some 500 years apart, and instead watch them discuss Antigone in this ancient Greek dwelling.
Sophocles. Antigone tells the story of its namesake character and her desire for her brothers to have an honorable burial against the wishes of the king Creon, who wishes them to have a dishonorable burial for their role in a rebellion. Oh, yes. The conflict between these two results in tragedy, as Antigone faces death for her betrayal, and Creon's son and wife take their own lives as consequence. Your play explores many subjects, but most notably justice, and what it means to be just.
Yes. Through the play's two opposing sides, it introduces conflict between two forms of justice. On one paw, you have the side of human law, embodied through the actions of Creon. Creon sees Polynices as a traitor. Thus, he seeks to punish him in death as a way of restoring justice.
A firm stance indeed.
Quite. On the other paw, there is divine law, represented by Antigone. She seeks divine justice, placing the laws of the divine over those made by mortals. She sees betraying Creon as a way to maintain the justice with the god laws.
Interesting. Let's discuss this more. But first, wine. While both arguments are valid, there cannot be more than one truth. So which justice is true?
Ultimately, the divine law proves to rank higher than the laws of man and dog. Creon's dedication to his sense of justice leads to tragedy, with his son and wife taking their own lives. Ultimately, the blame is on Creon, with the last chant reading, "The gods must have their due. Great words by men of pride bring greater blows upon them."
That's horrible. Wasn't Creon given some warning?
Yes, in fact, he was given warnings by the prophet Tiresias, the leader of the chorus, and even his son Haman.
Then, with all of these warnings, why didn't he heed them? Did these speakers not employ any rhetorical strategies to sway Creon?
They did. They appealed to the fact that they were very good boys. And even Creon's logic and his emotions. But Creon did not listen to their appeals, considering each to be an attack on him because of their oppositional view of the issue. Thusly, their appeals fall on deaf ears, and their rhetoric fails.
And from this failure stems the tragedy?
Yes. One may be able to take from Antigone that rhetoric will fail if its audience fails to listen to what is said. If one is to be wise, then one must listen. Look at my ears, I hear everything. In fact, I even now hear a faint call saying, "Give Sophocles a doggy treat."
You can?
Please take me seriously, I'm very wise.
Fine.
Thank you. Now you too are very wise.
Now, Sophocles, I would like to propose an oppositional reading to the argument that considers the failure of rhetoric within Antigone to be the fault of the listener. What if the failure is in the hands of the rhetoricians?
What?
Yes, it is Creon's law and his tenacious grip to his viewpoint that cements the tragedy of the play. Yet, those who attempt to sway him are also, in their own way, responsible for the tragedy. While they do stand on the right side of Antigone's conflict, their righteousness doesn't really matter. Unless they are able to change the mind of Creon, there will be tragedy, regardless of if they stand on the moral high ground.
But you saw them attempt to change the mind of the Theban king with logos, pathos, and ethos.
Yes, they did, but perhaps their approach was still wrong. I discuss this in my dialogue on oratory, where I bring up how in different times and in different places, oration looks different. Take, for example, ancient Athens. They had a culture of democracy, a rhetorical stage, and Mamma Mia.
Oh, love that movie. I mean, Meryl Streep?
I know, right? But while Athens had these attributes, not every culture has the same space for oration. One of these cultures was the Roman Empire.
Well, what does oratory look like in those cultures?
It's quite different. Oration is not intended to win over the masses within a forum, but to work within the power structures at hand. A judge or ruler holds the power, and there is not an attempt to win a debate, but rather to win over. Ultimately, great and famous oratory is a foster child of license. If you are not in a place to win a debate of equals, then you have to pursue your goal through some other manner.
How? How do you change the mind of someone who holds the power?
In a society with a clear ruler, seemingly the answer is to maintain favor of those in power. With access to the ruler, one may be able to amass some of their power.
Is that even rhetoric? Are you not just bound by the leash of flattery?
While, yes, it may not be ideal, and some may not even consider this to be rhetoric, it seems to be what the situation calls for. Even idyllic concepts of what rhetoric is assert that the speaker must know their audience. Is winning the ruler's favor not what the audience demands?
I see the argument. So it could be that Antigone's orators failed because they did not successfully appeal to Creon's favor. Instead, they chose to stand in direct opposition to his view?
While there are no guarantees, this could have possibly prevented the tragedy. Ultimately, our arguments rely on the eloquence that the times require.
If that's true, then both the shortcomings of the audience and the rhetoricians can be boiled down to a failure to listen. Now, please, for the love of gods, can we go on this walk?
Oh, yes, sorry.